still here
It'll
though.
turn red once you click it, though.
Yeah. And there's that little blue box. And we
Oh,
are live. Hello. How's it going out there in TV land? Welcome to This Week Unloaded. And we're going off the rails before the show even started, folks. So let's see. Who do we got with us tonight? We have the pickle himself from California, Cal There's 32 Special. How are you tonight, Cal?
Good. I appreciate the invite. Especially because here in a couple weeks, living vicariously through you guys might be the only way I have any firearms rights.
Oh, it's not a good way to start, bro.
Well, it was meant as a joke. That's for
start, man.
Did anyone see the Instagram post I put up today where I picked up almost 2,000 rounds of ammo? So that way I had a bit of a stockpile because a start of one. Because as of next month we have to do background checks to get that stuff.
That's right. I forgot about that.
All right. Next to him, we have the Tactical Chicken, Gizzard Gary. How you tonight, Gary?
I'm fair to middling. How about yourself? Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. And I have no clue how I am. Don't ask. I never know, so don't bother asking. But I guess
Well,
I don't know.
maybe Seven will tell you.
Yeah. Is he psychic?
He might be psycho.
It's like, oh yeah. Anybody
Okay,
who monitors somebody that trolls them's got to be a little psycho, right?
That's right.
We weren't supposed to tell that part.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. Next, we have the Kingpin, but not Wilson Fisk. Nope. We have David Bowling. How are you tonight, David?
All right. What's happening, everybody?
And then we have the what do we call you? The guy who likes to hit on slobs' daughters? We have Seven Wonders.
Hi, folks. Good to see y'all again. And Rich, thanks for having me on, even though you had me on before and you knew what to expect. So yeah, I give you credit there. Thanks for thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So let's see. I actually have one topic for tonight. So after that, we'll have to wing it, I guess. But since Cal Veris was already trying to bring the chat down, let's try and bring it down a little more. Guys, we got a really disturbing story out of the UK for everybody tonight. A British judge orders disabled 22-week pregnant woman to have abortion. A British judge ordered Friday that an abortion be performed on a mentally disabled woman who's 22 weeks pregnant, despite objections from the woman and her mother. Justice Nathalie Livin, something like that, admits in the ruling of the heartbreaking case that it's an immense intrusion in order to the abortion against the woman's will, but argued that it's in the best interest of the woman. I am acutely conscious of the fact that for the state to order a woman to have a termination where it appears that she doesn't want it is an immense intrusion, the justice said. I have to operate in her best interest, not on society's views of termination. The unnamed woman, a Roman Catholic, reportedly has developmental disabilities in the mental age of a 6 to 9-year-old. She has been described as being in her 20s and is in care of the NHS Trust. That's the National Health System, for those who don't know. That's the British healthcare system. Well, I guess it says right here anyways. Yeah, I went and did a little soliloquy for no reason. But yeah, she's in the care of their national health system. The woman's mother, a former midwife, opposes the abortion procedure and told the court that she could take care of the child with the support of the daughter. Sky News reported. A social worker, here's the best part, a social worker who works with the woman also said the pregnancy should not be terminated. But the judge said the woman didn't have the mental capacity to make her own decisions. Even it looked like she wanted to continue the pregnancy. I think she would like to have a baby in the same way she would like to have a nice doll, she said, pointing out that she didn't fully comprehend what having a baby entails. She added that having a child would be more traumatic for the woman than aborting it, as she wouldn't be able to take care of the child due to the risk posed by her mental health problems, and it would have to be put in foster care. pregnancy, although real to her, doesn't have a baby outside her body she can touch. Laven said, police are reportedly investigating how the pregnancy happened in the first place. Now, maybe it's just me, but I seem to remember there was a group back, in the early 20th centuries, they were in a country, I believe, called Germany, who tried doing this same kind of thing. So what we have here is a judge who essentially went full-on Nazi eugenics program on this woman. And not because of any real reason other than her feelings, apparently. You notice how many times the judge said she feels that this is the right thing to do? Even though the woman's social worker, who was appointed by the state to oversee what's going on with her, says that no, the child should not be aborted. So, I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. There is, and people wonder, you get people in this country, they want to socialize medicine and have unfettered abortions. Well, folks, here's what you get when you do both of those. You get the courts ordering people to have abortions for no goddamn reason. So let's run this through the panel real quick, and we'll start with Pickle. What are your thoughts on this?
First of all, what level of rating is this show supposed to be?
We try to keep it PG to PG-13.
Okay. The judge, needs, in my, feelings, need, since she likes feeling so much, removed from the bench, prosecuted for, murder one, and the woman should be allowed to have the child. Beyond that, I don't know if I can keep it PG.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is, like I said when I was reading it, the social worker who was appointed by the government to oversee this case says that the child shouldn't be aborted. And the woman's mother is a former midwife, so she would know how to take care of a child. I mean, she has raised one already that has health issues and whatnot. So I don't get where this judge gets off saying that the child would have to be put in foster care anyway when the mother could help take care of the child, and she's obviously very experienced with that. What about you, Gary? What are your thoughts?
The government shouldn't be deciding, and I realize this isn't our government here, but governments shouldn't be deciding who does and doesn't have children. Should not be ordering anyone or helping anyone to terminate a pregnancy, in my opinion. The fact that they even have a say in it just angers the hell out of me. It's wrong on just about every level I can think of. And yes, even if the gal was incapable of taking care of said child, I'm pretty sure she could have gotten some assistance from family and everything else to do that. And who knows how important that life was. That could have been somebody who come up with a cure for cancer or something like that, for all we know.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that they have some kind of appeal that they can appeal this and have that decision thrown out.
Yeah, that's just not right at all. And I'm kind of with Calaveras on, if I go any further, I'm probably going to be NSFW too. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
The worst part is it's not like there isn't precedent for this coming out of the UK. Remember, this is the same country that told a family they couldn't take their child to another country for health care.
Oh yeah.
If you're done, we'll move on to Kingpin. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
They were all right with what's that drunk dude that still sings at like 60 years old, Mick Jagger. They were fine with him leaving the UK to get surgery, but if you're a baby, screw you. So I don't care what the law says. I don't care what the judge says. If the people care about this civil discord, there should be 1,000 people out in front of that hospital telling them, you kill that baby in there and we're going to rip this place apart with our bare hands. Yeah, who cares what the judge says? There's certain things that are human rights. and humanity bases yourself on, whether you believe in God or not. And one thing is murdering babies. You know, that's not. This isn't abortion. This isn't. This doesn't even go into the whole debate about pro-choice and pro-life. This is the king ordering your children to be killed. That's all there is to it. If you have an argument against that, please let me hear it. I'll be happy to entertain whatever anybody might want to say about that. But you have to convince me otherwise that this isn't an execution.
Yeah, we're talking about a child, you know, 5 and approximately 5.5 months into the pregnancy here. This isn't even like she's in her first trimester at this point. You know, this is a child that in a couple weeks is going to be viable if it were to be born prematurely. You're right. This is absolutely right. This is murder.
In a couple weeks, that's where hasn't there been some that, you know, I mean, on the rarity, but there have been some that have been born at this age or at this point, and through because of the advancements in medical technology, have lived and gone on to have a halfway decent life.
At 5 months, it's harder for the child to survive than it would be like 6 months. So it's
Harder, but possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Yes, it's completely possible. That's why I said fully viable in a couple weeks. But yes, it could be viable now if it were receive the proper medical care and whatnot. And Clay's asking, does the judge believe that she wouldn't be able to care for the child? That's what the judge said. But if you like I was reading in the article, the mother is going to be completely able to help with the upbringing of the child, and there's going to be a support system in place. So there's absolutely no reason for the judge to have made this ruling. And no, the story doesn't mention anything about birth defects with the child either. Local 223. It's just all the judge thinking that, oh, this woman just wants the child because it's going to be a living baby doll for her. Essentially, is what the judge said. So now handled the questions from the YouTube side. Let's move on to Seven and get his thoughts on this.
Well, personally, I think this is wrong on so many levels. I do have a question that perhaps was not addressed in the article. Is there any mention of how this got to a judge in the first place?
It's England.
Did a neighbor make a complaint? Did a neighbor say, "Oh, my mentally challenged neighbor's about to have a daughter," and the judge said, "Oh no, we can't have that"? I mean, I don't get it.
It might have came up because it says at the end of the article that it's being investigated by police as to how she got pregnant. So that might have been how it came up before the judge.
Okay, so I guess worst case scenario, there's a possibility that she was a victim of sexual assault. But I don't know. I agree. I forgot exactly who said each thing, but I agree with a lot of the things I've heard. I mean, personally, yeah, the government should not be involved in the first place. Secondly, the girl's mother was a midwife and has volunteered and said, "Oh, absolutely, I will help take care of the child, et cetera, et cetera." I mean, she already raised her daughter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if she raised her with, issues to deal with, then, there's no reason why she couldn't raise another child. But I did just see Local 223 said, is the judge ruling on an ultrasound result showing birth defects? I mean, did they have any mention of that?
No, the judge's decision is based solely on the fact when you read the article and other things that I've seen on the case. I just went to that one article because I can't find the links I had to the other ones. That it's fully based on her feelings that this woman is incapable of caring for the child, even if she has help to do so.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make if the baby has birth defects?
Yeah, there's that too. But no, there's no indication that there's anything wrong with the child.
I'm sorry, Rich. Did you say the judge is a female, or did I misunderstand that?
Yes, the judge is a woman.
Wow. That just, to me, throws a whole new bit of craziness into this thing. I don't know. It's shocking, man. And it's sad that this is, one of our, what do we call developed countries? You know what I mean? And yeah, we all know, well, maybe we do, maybe we don't. China has been euthanizing, what is it, females for a while, female babies, because they said they have too many females in the country. But I mean, that's China. That's
Yeah, that was mostly when they had that you can only have one child program in
yeah,
place too, but they've gotten rid of that. So the
yeah,
the abortions of females has
Mm,
declined somewhat in China since then.
Yeah, they just got rid of that recently.
is that
And
right?
it's not like you can have 15 kids in China now. There's still a limit on
Right.
how many children you can
Yeah.
have.
But I mean, even considering, I'm trying to stay in PG mode here. Even considering that we have a lot of people in America that, in my opinion, should have to take a class first, perhaps maybe to have children, because I don't know. Still, though, for a judge to declare that you have to have an abortion, I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy in a developed country. I mean, it's I don't know. Where are we going? And the sad thing is, I feel like a lot of these, I don't know, do I call them leftists? Do I call them, I don't know, extreme Democrats? These folks who are okay with abortion up till the day of birth. I mean, the sad thing is, this could happen here in theory. I mean, we're not that far away from that. At least it sounds like to me.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this is what you get when you have unfettered abortion and you have nationalized health care.
The woman, they say she's in her 20s. Sorry, my mind's stuck on this one particular thing. But with the mental capacity of being 9 or 10-ish, does anyone, maybe someone in the chat, because I'm on mobile, I can't read it, but that's her, whether US, UK, somewhere in Europe, whatever, just how that works. That's like, okay, if someone has, physically legal, they're of legal age, but mentally they're not, and how that affects consent. That's what I can only think of. That's why I ended up in court, is because even though technically she was legal age, that's where she wasn't legal because of her mental. But that's, in order to get before this less than desirable judge, I'll say. I'm curious how it got there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but I mean, for me, the thing is, okay, let's go out on a limb. We don't know for a fact, but like I mentioned, maybe it was sexual assault. Maybe she's just flat out raped. But the thing for me is, both the pregnant girl and her mother, who was a midwife and has volunteered to take care of the child, if they both said, "Oh yeah, we want to have an abortion. We think that's best." Okay, fine. I mean, in my opinion, in a case like, involving rape or sexual assault or whatever, I think the lady should, have that option. But I mean, it's like they're trying to force her to do this, and it's morally wrong, it's ethically wrong, if you're a Christian, it's wrong there too. They're just so, so
Yeah.
many things are just not right about this.
Yeah. And one of the other articles I had seen again that I couldn't find a link to again stated that the mother is also the court appointed guardian caretaker of her daughter. So, I mean,
Right,
if the state feels that the mother is competent enough to take care of her daughter, why not the daughter's child as well?
right, exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of shocking. I mean, if you mentioned, yeah, I'm not going to say anything specific. If you mentioned this was happening in a third world country, I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not entirely shocked. I'd be more shocked that it made the news, because I'm sure that kind of thing happens in other countries. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised that it happened, considering again their record with people being told they can't take their children to other countries for medical care. It's
Right.
just the level of disgust when I saw that is, it's not so much surprise as it is disgust. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, they're going full on 1930s Nazi eugenics program because they were doing this type of thing back then. It's part of the Holocaust that people forget about is that they weren't just going after the Jews and the Gypsies; they were going after mentally and physically handicapped. If you were blind, deaf, mentally handicapped in any way, shape, or form, if you were pregnant with one that they could with a child they could determine was one of those three categories, they forced you to abort. If you were already living and you were one of those three categorized, they forcibly sterilized you so that you couldn't pass those traits on to somebody else. And this is full on Nazism right here, folks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see how anybody could argue that, really. I mean,
You
it
also
does
gotta
say,
you also gotta sprinkle in all the ones that they just bashed in the head with a club just for the fun of it too.
yeah. I don't know. This does not make me optimistic about our future, considering how many people in this country would probably say, "Oh yeah, I get it. That's fine. Whatever." Well, socialists are all on that bandwagon now.
And I'm waiting for this judge to get the Nobel Prize for peace or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean that's where they're definitely pushing it in this country.
They
I
give
think
out
they're
Margaret
finding it.
Sanger awards. They give out
Yeah, I think.
Margaret Sanger awards and are proud of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Margaret.
I
Yeah,
think they're finding it a harder row to hoe, here than it was over there. That's why we haven't gotten to that point yet. Hopefully we can push back hard enough, long enough that we can keep it from going there. But that's, maybe that's just a pipe dream, but that's my hope because I don't ever want to see this country go that way.
And speaking of Margaret Sanger and the Nazis, and we all know her history with them receiving and giving awards to them based on the eugenics program. And it was Margaret Sanger that was the inspiration for the Nazi eugenics program. So basically, what
Okay, for
they
those of us that are a little, shaky on that part of the history, Sanger, that's a name I recognize, but I can't quite place it.
founder of Planned Parenthood.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it was her research into eugenics and the her wanting to use Planned Parenthood to thin out the black population in poor cities and whatnot is what led them, inspired in part the Nazis to start their own eugenics program, and that, of course, led to the Holocaust. There are pictures with Margaret Sanger actually meeting with Adolf Hitler and shaking his hand.
Wow. It just surprises me that we're facing this at this time in history. I mean, things have changed quite a bit over the last 100 years or so. I don't know.
Wasn't Henry Ford fairly cozy with Hitler too?
Well, there were a lot of people, but that were up until a point before everybody started finding out what was going on behind the scenes. Margaret Sanger knew what was going on behind the scenes from an early point because, again, she was in bed with them on that kind of stuff. I mean, she was their inspiration. She was their hero. They looked up to her because of what she was trying to do in this country earlier in the 20th century in the same type of mold as what they were trying to do. Only with her, instead of the Jews, it was what the poor blacks, which is why even today, if you look at the locations of most Planned Parenthood clinics, they're located near poor black communities.
Now, see if they could have went back in time and maybe had her parents have an abortion or something like that. That one I might have been in favor of. But
Yeah.
that sounds horrible. But hey, I just can't understand some people. I cannot understand where the disconnect is between the brain and the rest of the body. I mean,
Right.
for God's sake, how hard do you have to be dropped as a kid before your head short circuits like that? Anyway,
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a scenario. I mean, hypothetically, if this pregnant lady lived in a mental hospital and had no relatives whatsoever, okay, something like that kinda makes me consider that this would be a viable option. But even then, I have a little bit of a problem with it. Because there are people. I'm sure there are people in the UK who want to adopt. So I don't know. The whole thing is just messed up.
I wonder how much this speaks to the mental health care and assisted living situations and stuff. Anyway, remember in this country not that long ago, we just had a story where a woman who was in a coma in a nursing home became pregnant.
Right. I forget how that turned out. Did that?
Yeah,
They award that one
I
here?
haven't seen any follow-ups on it. So I couldn't tell you.
No, I haven't either. But based on what we're hearing today, I wouldn't be surprised. They probably went ahead and boarded that one too.
Yeah, it probably would have. But that, I don't know, that one's more of a different situation, though, right?
Yeah, oh, indeed.
But I'm not in favor of any abortion. But that one I could see possibly being a borderline. Yeah, that one might be a better idea. But I mean, yeah. Do you really want somebody who's in a coma being pregnant when they're already having issues? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a risk to the patient as well, obviously.
Yeah, but we're in a different category. But
Yeah, absolutely.
anybody had any other thoughts they want to pose on this? Any questions from either on YouTube or gun channels on this one before we move on to something else? Don't know what we're going to move on to, but we'll figure out something.
Yeah. Buck says the mother of the pregnant girl has legal guardianship over her daughter. So her decision should be law. That should be the way it's, what's accepted.
Yeah.
I agree completely with
Yeah,
that.
that's the way it should be, especially when the state appointed social worker who was appointed to oversee this situation also agrees that the child should not be aborted. I mean, what else does this judge need? You got
I know.
the mother who is her legal guardian saying, no, it's fine, let her carry, and I'll work with her and we'll take care of this child. And then you have the social worker who's been overseeing this whole thing saying, yeah, it's fine, let her have the child. And the judge, in her self-righteous bully pulpit, no, we're going to abort the child, and I don't give a damn what you think. I mean, come on.
Look, you've already addressed the problem there, Rich, and it's the overbloated government. And we're doing the same thing here by continually allowing this thing to grow bigger and more powerful every day. That judge isn't stepping out of their bounds. They gave that judge that power. That's why Charlie Gard is dead.
Yeah.
That's why I can't remember the little girl before him is dead. That's why Mick Jagger flew to New York to have heart surgery. That's why this little girl is about to have an execution done to her inside her body.
And
Because they gave that judge this power. This judge isn't overreaching their power. This is the power that they chose to allow judges to have.
Yeah. And D-Temp out there on the YouTube side makes a good point. The British courts sure are quick to kill people, especially in a country that doesn't have the death penalty anymore.
Yeah. Ironic, huh?
Yeah. And let's not forget, if you are on the waiting list for a liver transplant in the UK and you go to a wedding and have just one beer and didn't even finish it, you just took as part of the toast, you took a drink, they will take you off the waiting list for a sip of beer you had at a wedding during the wedding toast.
Right.
That is something that actually has happened. And then that's if you don't dehydrate, die of dehydration in the hallways while you're waiting to be seen in the UK, which has also happened. So, it's a totally disgusting situation over there all the way around. Remember, folks, this is the healthcare system they want to put in place here.
Oh yeah. Well,
No
there are
thanks.
still plenty of Democrats who would like to have that going here.
No thanks.
You know that? Go to the doctor and 2 days later have an MRI? Forget that if they do that. Because it can take up to 6 months or more to have an MRI over there.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah, just
I
look
don't.
at Canada if you think it's wonderful.
Yeah, there are charities in Canada that are put in place just to bring people to the United States for medical procedures.
You know, I hesitate to say this, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway because honestly, this is almost like a question. I really don't know why. I don't know what the difference is, but when I lived in Japan, I suddenly had to have surgery for a blood clot, and I went and had that surgery. And about 2 weeks later, my girlfriend's mom, who would later become my mother-in-law, took me downtown to get Japanese national health insurance, and it cost me $15 a year, and they're reimbursed. Well, they no, I didn't pay for it. They covered the cost of that surgery and all my aftercare and everything else. Now, why it works there and not in some other places, I don't know. And again, I'm only one person. I'm only one example. But I don't
The
know. They
reason that
kind
it
of
works, the reason that it works in Japan is tiny for one,
Yeah.
and
true.
even though Japan is a capitalist nation, they're capitalist imperialist mixed,
Right.
and there's all kinds of rules and regulations about immigration and all kinds of stuff that you gotta stay lockstep in Japan. They don't play around in Japan. Japan isn't like a land of free. Japan isn't, East America. It's
Right.
a
Right.
lot of people think that nowadays Japan is like Los Angeles, and it's far, far from that. It's one of the better places to live if you're going to live in one of those predominantly Asian countries, but it's not like United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other countries that have socialized medicine where it's not as bad. Like you go to Scandinavia, their healthcare system is pretty decent, but again, they're smaller countries. Their population-wise, they're smaller than what England is.
Right.
What the UK is. They're smaller than what Japan is. But so a lot of it has to do with the size of the population. The larger the population you have, and you have socialized medicine, the more it's going to cost. The less you're going to be able to provide because of that cost.
Right. That's true. Well, yeah. Another thing too. Well, it didn't happen while I was there, but within the last year or two, I know they started. Well, they increased the tax rate. They didn't even have sales tax when I lived
Yeah,
there.
that's
But
that's
yeah,
another thing. Taxes.
now they have some sales tax, and now they have a little bit of income tax. Not like ours, but they have a little bit.
Like if you I don't know if the video's still up on YouTube or not, but Oprah, remember when Obama was trying to get the Olympics here in the United States? I think it was in Chicago. He was trying to get it. I think that was the same one when Brazil was finally awarded it. But he went over there, and Oprah went with them and stuff, and they were trying to pitch the Olympics over there. And Oprah was going around, and she was just interviewing people. And she went to this one woman's apartment, and they were talking about how they get free health care and all this other stuff. And then they walked. This is before they walked into her apartment. They walked into her apartment. She hardly had anything in her apartment. And Oprah would look at her and was like, "Where's all your stuff?" And she's like, "What stuff? With all the taxes we pay for the healthcare and stuff, we can't afford anything."
Wow. Now, where was that? I'm sorry, Rich. I missed it.
That was, I believe, Denmark.
Oh, okay.
That was either Denmark or Norway. I forget which country. It's whichever country the Olympic committee's
Oh,
headquarters.
yeah.
But yeah, that's stuck in my head. I mean, she
Yeah.
just looked at her. She didn't know what to say at that point, and yet that woman still wants to push that shit.
Yeah. True. I mean, well, I don't know if it's time to change topics or not, but I just saw. I don't know. I don't remember who it was. A YouTube video notification popped up, and somebody said Oprah has. Oh no, I think it was somebody reporting who said possibly Bill Maher said that Oprah is the only one who has a legitimate chance of beating Trump.
People have been
I
saying
didn't
that
even.
since the last election. So I mean,
I didn't even know. Did Oprah actually? Is she running officially?
she's never came out and said she was running now.
Okay, well,
But
that's probably a good thing.
They've been pushing her since Trump won.
Yeah.
It started the day after. I mean, come on. But seriously, that's something that the left has been pushing. Oh, we'll get Oprah to run. But as far as I know, she has no intention of running.
Well, forgive me for sounding ignorant, but I am. I don't watch TV news. Period. At all. Ever. So my news comes from YouTube. Is Michelle Obama running? Is that official, or
No.
is that just another rumor?
Not that I know of.
Oprah is not going to ruin her ride by running for president. She's sitting in a position where it's not going to make. Only thing running for president could do for Oprah would be bad, because all kinds of dirt about her would come out. The whole South African school thing would come back up, and she'd have to be constantly battling all that. And she's not going to win, and losing's not going to make her any more famous. Michelle Obama, who knows? She may run in the future, but Oprah, that'd be a bad business decision for somebody like Oprah to run for president.
That's a good point. I mean, she has more money than most people on this earth. So yeah, I mean, she has not a whole lot to gain.
Okay, I think we've pretty much covered this topic. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about real quick? Anybody?
If nobody has any other suggestions, I'm gonna mention what I saw in the during the pre-chat. Who's the David, that guy we listened to, Guns and Gadgets? Yeah. Just put up a video saying that a national suppressor ban bill has been presented to both the Senate and the House.
Yeah, I'm really not surprised by that, to be honest. What was it that Rahm Emanuel said? Never let a good tragedy go to waste.
Right.
Or a good crisis, whatever, something along those lines. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Not in the least bit. It'll probably waltz right through the House.
It's very disappointing to me. I mean, I think, suppressors should be a no-brainer. I think they should be legalized and eliminate the $200 gift money to the government. I mean, they don't do any harm. They don't kill people in and of themselves. They protect a lot of people's hearing. I don't know. I think to me that's a no-brainer. I still don't understand.
Yeah, we were saying in the pre-chat, it's really telling when you notice that you go to certain countries in Europe and like New Zealand, as places, and you can walk into a store and walk out the same day with a suppressor. Here, it takes you up to a year.
Yeah, not to mention the $200 gift money.
Yeah, you just walk into a store, pay the whatever it costs, and they cost less over there because they don't have the government $200 tax.
Right. And for here, it's like, to me, that's like legal bribery. It's like, oh, please give me a suppressor at an overinflated price and make me wait a year to get it. I don't know.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking last night, and in some ways, especially with the Czech Republic putting in their version of the Second Amendment, in some ways they have better gun laws than we do when it comes to some things. I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, kind of hard to believe, but yeah, it's true.
Anybody else have thoughts on this? Gary, Kingpin, either of you?
Other than what I said earlier.
Well, we're talking about the suppressor thing now.
Right. And that's wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. I don't know what we can do to stop it, but we need to figure out how. We need to start calling some people, writing some people, getting on social media, stopping this roller coaster.
Kingpin, what about you? I mean, I don't think can you even have one at all in Maryland if you're there? I don't remember if that's something because I know some states they don't let you have them at all. He might have stepped away. Oh yeah, he said. I see now in the side chat. He said, "Oops, my bad." Anyway, okay, so since Kingpin's not there, we can't get his take on this one. So, yeah, I mean, my take is, I mean, let them be. I mean, get them off the NFA. Christ, there's no reason for them to be there anyway. They never should have been. Why they were, I don't know. You didn't see. I mean, the whole thing with the NFA was supposed to be. It was a reaction to all the gangsters, you know, and the bank robbers that were like Bonnie and Clyde. That's why you had the SBRs and the SBSs, because people like Bonnie and Clyde would take the BARs and cut them down, and their shotguns and cut them down. And they would have their whippet guns, right? So that's one of the reasons that's one of their excuses for the NFA, was to try and curtail that. But of course, we all know criminals don't obey gun laws anyway. So let's create more gun laws for criminals not to follow, right? And
Right.
$200 back then was a hell of a lot more money than it is now. I think people that have done the math said it would be something if they were to, do the math and convert it for inflation. It would be like $3,200 now for a tax stamp if they were to
Wow.
adjust for inflation. So,
I guess we're lucky in that respect. They could have made it worse.
yeah, I mean, you got to remember back then you could buy a car for $200. You know, I
I
mean,
get that.
that was during the height of the Depression too.
Right.
After FDR actually made it worse. And that's a topic for discussion too, right there. You know, how FDR actually made the Depression worse with his New Deal than better.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the unemployment rate when FDR was elected, it was actually going down. It was somewhere, it was below 20%, if I remember correctly. By 1938, the unemployment rate had doubled under FDR.
Wow.
The only thing that stopped the Great Depression was not the New Deal, it was World War II.
Right.
Lend Lease in particular was probably one of the biggest contributing factors to the Depression finally starting to decline and end under FDR. He was making things much worse. And on the suppressor thing, Buck says they can have them in Maryland, but they can't have guns.
Neat. So you can put a suppressor on your blow dart gun. Are you allowed to have blow dart guns?
Yeah, you can have air rifles and stuff. And yeah, you can put a suppressor on an air rifle. There's some that come integrally suppressed. Because some of them are loud. I mean, people think of an air rifle and they think it just goes. No, there's air rifles that they make a nice boom when you fire them. Because how much air pressure is coming out the barrel. Like the German-made 22 air rifles that we had when I was on the junior RTC marksmanship team. Those things will launch a pellet 100 yards.
Nice.
I mean, there was some force coming out of there, and we actually had to wear hearing protection when firing those.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know that.
I mean, they weren't as loud as like firing a 22 long rifle, but it was loud enough to where if you fire enough of them in repetition or had enough people firing them at one time, yeah, it could damage your hearing. Yeah, Dead Horse says he has air guns that are louder than 9mm. Yeah, I can believe it.
Good grief. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, there's air rifles that you can legitimately hunt deer with them.
Wow.
Lewis and Clark took air rifles with them on our expedition specifically for that purpose.
That's pretty wild. So I suppose they'll be going after those next.
Well, they probably don't even realize that those exist.
Well, maybe. No, that's because they don't. You know, nothing. This is not a real thing.
If you look at some of the higher end air rifles, they will be internally suppressed because of how loud they are. And even then, they're loud.
Now, do they all use like CO2 cartridges, like the old style BB guns, or no?
Some of them are CO2, but they have an internal canister that you fill from a CO2 bottle. They don't use the little CO2 cartridges.
Right.
And then there's other ones that are that powerful that are just pneumatic. You just pump them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Like the German made ones we had, they were pneumatic.
Yeah.
You gave them one pump and those things would launch a pellet 100 yards downrange.
Yeah. I had a pneumatic when I was a kid. I didn't really shoot pellets out of it much. I was dangerous enough with BBs.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to use the 22 rifles with a 177 pellet catch.
Right.
One day in practice, we accidentally because they're made with a milder steel, but one of the members of marksmanship team, he went and grabbed the wrong trap, and he shot it and put a nice dent in the back of the pellet trap.
Wow.
It looked like somebody took the round end of a ball peen hammer and hit the trap.
Wow. That's crazy. This is all new to me, so thanks for the education.
Yeah, I mean, people think air rifles and they think toys. The kids had their BB guns like the Red Ryder or something like that, right?
Yeah.
There's some pellet rifles and air rifles out there that they're deadly. They absolutely can kill somebody with one of those.
Now it makes a little more sense to me. My best friend's an attorney, and so is his wife, and he bought a pellet gun, and it was pretty cool. He let me shoot it a few times. I was like, that's neat, man. How much was this thing? I'm thinking he's gonna say like 179. He's like, it was like $600. I'm like, holy mackerel, dude.
Yeah, there's ones that cost more than that.
Yeah. Oh, I believe you. But I was just shocked. I didn't know there was such a thing as a.
The German ones that we had, they were like what you would see biathlon shooters and stuff use. Those were thousands of dollars. So, yeah. Dead Horse said a Magnum spring-powered air rifle was harder on optics than a 50 BMG rifle.
Jeez.
Yeah, again, I can definitely believe it. Now, Midnight Range may, being his usual trollish self, I wish Obnoxious mouth was integrally suppressed.
That's pretty good, Midnight. I like that.
Yeah, and Dead Horse said he broke a $700 Leopold scope on an air rifle.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have kickers? Just the vibration? I mean, how would that happen?
It's just like a firearm. One of the things that causes recoil in a firearm isn't necessarily the detonation in the chamber. It's all the gases coming out the front of it pushing back on the rifle. You get or handgun. You get that same thing with an air rifle. You push enough air fast enough down that barrel, it's Newton's law of physics. Right. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So yeah,
good point.
You're pushing a lot of air down that barrel. It's going to push backwards.
Yeah, I love physics in high school and college. I just haven't thought about it lately. But yeah, it does make sense.
The more recoil you get with an air rifle, the more you have to damage your optic on it.
Right, that makes sense.
And like I said, I mean, if the ones that we used are nowhere near as powerful as one Dead Horse said, he's got, and that was enough to where they were able to damage a steel trap that was meant to capture .177 pellets.
Wow. So, I mean, yeah, that's impressive. I really had no idea that you could get them that powerful.
Yeah. And again, Lewis and Clark, I mean, they didn't have the technology we have today, and they had air rifles that could kill a deer back then. Yeah. So, I mean, air rifles ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Apparently.
It's not like your Daisy or Crossman, whatever, that you buy at Walmart for like $50,
Right.
So,
yeah, my Walmarts around here quit carrying real guns, but they do still sell air guns, and I was shocked. I didn't look as if I'm trying to buy. I just, I'm walking down the aisle looking to see if there's anything interesting in there I can shoot at. What I meant was, backyard target type stuff. And I saw some of these air guns in like $200, $300, $400. Like, good lord.
If you want to put this in perspective, keep in mind that a lot of the weapons that a lot of the guns they use to tranquilize elephants are air guns.
Wow.
Yeah, Dead Horse said the Lewis and Clark air rifle is considered the most important gun in U.S. history. Yeah, I mean they took that thing across the country.
Yeah.
They used that. They took game with it. I mean, they were supplying themselves with food on their expedition with an air rifle
That's
in the
pretty
early
wild.
1800s. A lot of people don't even know that. That's one of the
Wow.
worst part. People don't even realize that Lewis and Clark were carrying an air rifle with them.
Yeah, I mean, if I did know it, I have long since forgotten because, I mean, to me, this is all surprising. Like, really?
And he
I
said
would have
it
thought
truly
at
was.
least they'd had a 22 or something.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have 22 back then. Remember, this would have been the era of muzzle loaders still.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Losing
And
my
he said
little
there
mind.
was. Yeah, Dead Horse said it truly was the gun that won the West. I don't know if it was the gun that won the West, but it certainly kicked open the door. Put all that in motion. So.
Yeah. David, can you guys have air rifles in Maryland?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're not completely, out of the loop.
No, not too bad. I mean, it's pretty bad here, but there's a whole lot of worse places.
Yeah. Gibbs, you have any experience with air rifles?
Not air rifles, no. I mean, I have CO2 pistols and stuff like that, but I've never had an air rifle. I've looked at them. They're pretty cool looking.
It's interesting.
When I was younger, my brother and I we were looking through a catalog, and they had an air rifle that had a integral muzzle brake on it. My brother was like, "Why do you need a muzzle brake on a pellet gun?" I was like, "Because that pellet gun will probably kill a deer." He just looked
Wow.
at me. I mean, he didn't know what to say, and it was like, he's like, "No, that's not true." It was like, and I told him about the 22 air rifle incident. He's like, "You're full of it. There's no way a 22 pellet did that to a steel trap." I just happen to have a picture of it,
Oh, that reminded me of a bad situation that ended up better than it could have. When my brother and I were kids, we had this ice storm in Ohio, which is kind of unusual. It's usually just snow up there, but we took out my BB gun and started shooting it, and I thought it'd be a great idea to shoot it into this little ice. I don't know what you call it, a little puddle of ice, I guess. And as luck would have it, that thing ricocheted and stuck literally about a quarter inch above the top of his nose, right between his eyebrows. And I'm like, oh geez. We went in at that point. I was like, well, first I got him calmed down because he thought I'd killed him or something, but I got him calmed down. Yeah, we called it quits for that day. But yeah.
Dead Horse is talking some more about the Lewis and Clark one. They scared Native American tribes with it since it was a repeater and would pierce 1-inch wood at 100 yards. The natives thought they had a whole boatload of them. They made a point to show all the tribes the gun right off the bat as an intimidation factor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to remember back then, repeating arms were still experimental. I mean,
right.
You had things like the puckle gun and stuff, but there was this was before you had Smith and Wesson with the volcanic or Colt with his revolvers. I mean, everything was still in the experimental stages. No, there was nothing actually being produced, mass produced, except for repeating air rifle. And even
Wow.
then, they were extremely expensive,
Oh man.
and they were not easy to recharge. I mean, these were things that it was expensive to own them, and expensive to operate them.
Hmm. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I don't know how easy or common it was to have a CO2 tank or cartridges or whatever back then.
Yeah. Well, if you look it up, you can see how the kind of operated. See if I can find any information
Yeah,
on that real quick.
I will, because to me it's interesting. You guys will tell me a lot of stuff I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking, well, I don't even want to tell you. I was thinking BB guns and stuff like that were kind of a mid 19th century thing. I had no idea, or 20th century, I should say. We're in 21st now, right? Yeah. So yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, they started making these in 1779.
Wow.
The Austrian army actually used them from 1780 to 1815.
Wow.
A lethal combat range of 125 to 150 yards, and some had ranges beyond that. It took around 1,500 strokes of a hand pump to fill the air reservoir on them.
1,500?
Uh-huh. A fully loaded reservoir was capable of around 30 shots.
Wow. Oh, okay. Never mind then. That's a different scenario. I mean, my first pump BB gun was the pumps you did were only for that next shot. It didn't like carry over. It didn't have a storage chamber for the air pressure.
Yeah, you would pump these up, and then it would store the air pressure in it. It was
Wow.
kind of like the Super Soaker, the
I
Super
got you.
Soaker squirt gun. You
A,
would
li-
pump it and fill that reservoir, and then you'd be able to shoot the water. Basically, the same kind of operating principle.
little known fact: all the guns that were produced in New Jersey only were allowed to be able to pump up to 10 shots.
Wow.
7, that was a joke.
Well, along those lines, I was just about to ask David, but I didn't want to do it. But I'm going to do it now. Are you guys allowed to have super soakers in Maryland, David?
Well, they're allowed to have air rifles, so I mean, Super Soaker technically is an air rifle that fires water.
I know. I was just trying to make it funny.
The thing with these was they were delicate, and the small break in the reservoir would make it inoperable.
Oh. Yeah, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were 4 feet long and weighed about 10 pounds. Which would make them about the same size as a musket of the era.
Right.
And they fired a 46 caliber ball.
Wait, what? An air rifle?
Uh-huh. There's
46
50 caliber air rifles now.
Wow.
That's a big old ball.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
That hurt.
It had a gravity-fed magazine that held 20 balls. So, yeah, you could put down some firepower with one of those in a short amount of time.
I wish I didn't know all this stuff. Now you made me want an air rifle. I still want a 357 lever action before I do anything else.
And that's what it looked like.
Now that's an air rifle?
That's an air rifle. The reservoir is in the buttstock.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
The magazine, I believe, is here.
I think the magazine would have probably been like a kind of almost like a detached magazine, wouldn't it have been? If it was gravity fed.
Yeah, you would think. But the hammer, you actually would pull back the hammer, and when you drop the hammer, it would hit a valve that released the burst of air down the barrel.
Oh. But yeah, you know what? I see David's point though. I mean, if it's gravity fed, how could the magazine be below the barrel?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
just
don't know.
trying to figure out because from this picture you can't really tell that well.
I used to think I liked physics. Now I'm not so sure.
Looks like it has a cleaning rod underneath there. Yeah, looks like possibly a cleaning rod here. Let's see if I can get a closer in picture. Looks like it might be a cleaning rod. Doesn't look like it has a bayonet lug.
Huh.
Yeah, you can see the sights. Here's the rear sight and then the front sight.
Mm.
You're typical for the era. Here it looks like it might have like a buckhorn or something there. And then you got
Dead
this
Horse
little
just made
blade.
no. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just saying it looks like you got a buckhorn and a little blade sight. So, yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, Dead Horse just put out there. He said they used to use a giant wagon filled with air to refill the guns.
Yeah, that'd probably be a
Yeah.
lot of I mean, 15. You know, do you really want to stand there and try pumping a pump 1,500 times to fill that thing?
Yeah, no, not really. I don't think I. Never mind.
Yeah, but
PG, right?
they were an interesting note in history for sure.
Foos just showed up, or at least I just noticed him there. Can I get a link? I'm on Gun Channel, says Foos.
Oh, you guys got the link? You want to post it over there for them?
I'm not on Gun Channels. Somebody else got to do that.
Okay, I guess I'll.
David might be able to help.
I got you, Rich.
Sorry, buddy.
I got it.
Oh, you guys got it. Okay.
Gary's much better with a computer than me.
You guys are still better than me. My whole social media experience is YouTube. Well, no, that's not entirely true. I comment on Yahoo stories once in a while, especially when it's a gun story. What's up, Foos?
Foos.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I didn't tell y'all, but I'm Australian, but I try to suppress my accent.
Apparently, Foos is having technical difficulties.
But we see his cool ass avatar, though. I mean, cool avatar.
But anyway, getting back to that, here's the kit that the Austrians issued with them. You can see they had the Austrians would issue it with 2 extra air reservoirs, and it looks like a cleaning kit.
Right. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty high tech for the day.
I know, right?
Yeah. Keep in mind, again, this is from the late 18th century. You know, while we were fighting the U.S. Revolution over here, the Austrians were issuing this to their troops.
Y'all blowing my little mind.
I mean, that's some craziness. And they were issuing it to them while we were fighting the War of 1812 as well.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ah,
sir.
shit. Sorry. No. I was going through all my computer settings, and I was like, wait a second. I have a mute switch on this headset. And yeah, that was it.
Aha.
So yeah, that Austrian air rifle. We all the Lewis and Clark also took one out west because they didn't have access to powder, but they had access to lead, and they could shoot a game, then grab the lead, melt the lead, and reuse their ammo.
Yep.
And just pump it up. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember how we got on the air rifle thing to begin with. But yeah, that's one of the things we were talking about. Is how they were taking game with it, and they were using it as a intimidation factor on the
It was an assault weapon of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you could fire. It held 20 rounds, and an air tank held enough to fire 30 shots. I mean, and they fired a 46 caliber ball. I mean, you didn't want to get hit with one of those.
Indeed. Well, Foos, now that you said it's an assault weapon, I'm scared of them. So.
Yeah, now they're gonna,
as you should be.
Now they're gonna ban these things, man. What's wrong with you?
Well, they're not legally firearms,
and they're not black, guys.
Well, according to Vanessa Kitty has said on multiple occasions, they have regulations against them in Connecticut already. So
What?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
yeah,
You gotta
Uh,
be kidding me.
yeah, she's brought that up many times about how they have regulations concerning air rifles in Connecticut.
Connecticut's like East California, man. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I don't think California has regulations against air rifles.
Wow.
I don't think so. But of course, I don't.
Well,
know.
I'll tell you, if it gets bad enough, put me on record as saying Vanessa's going to move. Because, you know, knowing Vanessa the way we do, I don't think she's going to put up with it for too long.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
Well, I've said before, and I'll say again, if North Carolina goes full socialist, I'll end up moving to Kentucky or Kansas. I'll be Gary's neighbor. So get ready to mark off a piece of property for me, Gary. You can sell me a little piece of land.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what she said the laws were, that you had to be on certain property or something. State, I think she said it's illegal to use them on state game lands or something. I'm trying to remember. I wish she was out there to tell us.
Well, actually, Rich, you know, I may just go back to West Virginia. I mean, there are so many places you can hide in those hills. People never find you.
Well, you don't got
I
to
miss
worry
West
about all this.
Virginia in a way.
Well, we have really good gun laws, so
Yeah. Well, plus it's beautiful. You know, I love those steep hills and all that. It's not so much fun when you're driving up the turnpike at night, but, you know, other than that.
You're talking about West Virginia?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, West Virginia's cool, man. I grew up 10 miles from there in eastern Ohio.
I keep trying to get David to come across the border. He can still work in Maryland if he must, but live in a free state.
That's not a bad idea.
And my wife works in Maryland.
But is there reciprocity?
No, Maryland doesn't even issue their own permits. I mean,
The-
on paper they do, but they don't.
Then going from one to the other could be an issue. Issue wants to carry outside it. Just
I
saying.
mean, technically, you got to leave your guns in West Virginia, apparently.
Well, you just leave it in your trunk. Yeah, put
Yeah.
it in a safe in your trunk. And the worst part is to get from one part of West Virginia to the other, like where I live, I have to go through Maryland to get to the other side of West Virginia because it's the fastest way to do it.
Oh, the Panhandle?
Yeah, I'm over in the Eastern Panhandle. To get over to the western part of the state, you got to go through Maryland.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, you may or may not remember, I was actually born in Wheeling and grew up in Ohio, and my dad and grandfather had businesses over there in Wheeling.
Yeah, it's the weird way this shape is, this state is. It literally, the West Virginia, if you look at it, is giving the rest of the country the middle finger. I'm serious. Look at the way the shape of the state is.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Eastern
you're absolutely
Panhandle is
right.
the thumb. The western or northern Panhandle is the finger, and the rest of the state forms the rest of the knuckles.
Hold on a second.
That's funny.
You said West Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's right. I mean, the finger clearly points up and running right along the border between Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, the West Virginia is literally giving the rest of the country the middle finger. I don't know if that was intentional.
Well, I mean, you know how that West Virginia was actually created unconstitutionally.
Yeah, well, we're over that.
Oh, okay. Just saying.
Yeah, well, you know, since night strikes here, I'm. All right.
Oh, he showed up?
No. It just, you know, well, you'll understand here in a second. Just like you said, Rich, about West Virginia giving the rest of the country a finger, I've always felt like, even since a little kid, South Carolina looks like North Carolina dropping the kids off at the pool, if you know what I'm saying. South Carolina is like a little turd for North Carolina. Silence. Well, we had a good run.
I'm looking up something real quick so you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Oh boy. No, I almost wish Nice Truck was here to yell at me about that.
Don't say his name 3 times, he'll show up just like Beetle.
Oh no. Okay, we're
We
done.
had
I'm
a
done.
link. I mean, oh,
What? Night Strike, and who?
Oh no! Don't do that. Hey, Foose, how's the ammo business going?
Not the best.
Oh man.
the best part about the whole West Virginia giving the rest of the country the finger, it was one of my kids' teachers that pointed that out.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, for those of you that don't know what West Virginia looks like, I'll screen share this and point
Y'all
and show
gotta
you
know.
exactly how this works. Okay, see right
Y'all
here,
making me
we
embarrassed.
got here's the thumb,
Yes, sir. And
here's
there it
the
is.
rest of the hand, and here's the middle finger.
Like I said, running right between Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Yep.
That's where Wheeling Island is. It's in the finger.
So, yeah, West Virginia is literally giving the rest of the country the middle finger.
Yeah. Oh man.
That or is
Crazy,
trying
huh?
to that or is trying to squeeze between
I don't even want to
Ohio
go
and
there.
Pennsylvania.
That's not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
go there. We try to keep this PG-13, Foos.
Yeah, never mind.
I do see your point, Foose. I never really thought about it that way, but now
But
you've
no.
corrected me. So.
Are you sure that West Virginia's trying to get a little frisky with Ohio and Pennsylvania? Is that what you're? Yeah.
No. I was talking about the thumb between
Oh, the
Virginia
thumb.
and
Virginia and Maryland.
Maryland.
But
So I mean,
show us again, Rich. Now I want to see the thumb.
well,
I
now,
mean-
now if you want to talk that way, you can say it's getting frisky with Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia.
I mean that I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yes, that might be a good idea at this point. Okay,
Oh,
there.
you guys are opening my eyes to all kind of new things here.
Well, there you go, Kevin. What was it you wanted to see?
As if I needed that.
Well, I mean, actually, the thumb's already second digit in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
That's all the
my.
way in. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm.
Here's Maryland here.
I know. I'm saying, look at your thumb. Second digit in is all the way in.
Yeah, it's all the way. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, that thumb's all the way
Definitely
in.
there. Might need a nail trim.
Oh.
Oh boy. It
Anyway,
makes you wonder why they didn't just take this part of Maryland here and put it as a state. And they're actually trying to do that. This part of Maryland here wants to become part of this part of West Virginia.
really?
Hey, now that we're on the picture, you guys see my point about South Carolina, right? It's like North Carolina and Georgia are just trying to squeeze it out into the ocean. AKA drop the kids off at the pool.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember before they decided to split off different states, Virginia went all the way over here.
Yeah.
North Carolina went all the way over here.
Right.
Yeah. Georgia went all the way over here.
All the way to Mississippi.
Wow, I didn't remember that part about Georgia. I did not know that.
Yeah. Back in the 1700s.
Yeah. I mean, I knew the North and South Carolina and Virginia, West Virginia stories. I didn't remember that part about Georgia. But then again, I grew up in Ohio. I don't think they really cared about Georgia.
Yeah, there's two rivers that are, when you're looking at this map, there's two rivers that are really easy a couple of rivers that are really easy to follow.
Oh,
The
the
Potomac-
Ohio, Mississippi.
The Potomac is right here.
Yeah,
There's the Potomac River.
right.
Here's the Ohio River.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
And then here comes the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mm,
They're real easy to follow those rivers because they form the boundaries of states.
Yepers.
And literally the border of Ohio and West Virginia right here, because the Ohio here's Pittsburgh, roughly. The Ohio goes up here and then comes down this way.
Yeah.
The Potomac starts around here and goes up here and forms the entire border between West Virginia and Maryland, and then part of the border with Virginia and Maryland. I mean, it's real easy to follow because the Potomac dumps out right about here. That's where Washington, D.C. would be.
And the southern border between southern Oklahoma and North Texas, that's Red River.
Yeah, the Red River would be right here.
Then the corner, the upper right corner of Kansas, where it's chopped off, that's a Missouri River.
Oh, wait a minute. What day is this? This is Sunday. Happy birthday, George.
Yep.
George got camera shy.
He's been on camera a lot today. Yep, he's 5 years old today.
I know, man. I remember. Jerry wishes George happy birthday. If Jerry makes it 2 more weeks, he's going to be 17 on the 4th of July.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see. He's in some stage of kidney disease, so we're doing everything we can to keep him happy.
Yep, don't blame you there.
Yeah, I mean, well, we made a mistake a long time ago in trying to keep a guy alive longer than he really should have been because we couldn't part with him. But we realized that was a selfish move. So now, when Jerry's ready, he's going to tell us, I think, when he quits eating and all that stuff and quits sleeping on my lap, then we're going to know. Oh, shoot. Speaking of Jerry, ladies and gentlemen, I have to mute myself for a few minutes. I said this in the pre-chat and I keep forgetting I got to go give Jerry his fluids. My wife just said, I'm going to sleep in 10 minutes. So I need her help. So I got to mute for a few minutes. Okay. I'll be back.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Missed the question. About 10 minutes ago, Jason Stewart asked, didn't ATF raid an air gun company somewhere? Did they?
They raided an airsoft company because when they imported it, they didn't have the orange tips, and they were putting them on in the store. But per ATF, they had to come in with orange tips.
Yeah, it's one of those silly regulations. Yeah, you can't bring a pistol into the country unless it has a safety. You can't bring an airsoft gun unless it has an orange tip. That's why you get the Tokarevs with either the trigger safety that the Yugos put on it, which doesn't do anything.
I wish all of them would swap out to that so they don't bastardize the gun.
Yeah, let's say, or you get that stupid thumb safety that you can remove, but then you have a nice hole in the side.
Right. That's why they should always do it. They should always put a dingus on it. Period.
Yeah, you can always once you got it in hand, you can always swap the dingus trigger out for the other.
Not really. Not per law.
Well, unless you want to, if you're not going to resell it, people do it all the time.
Oh yeah, you could do it. It's just not by law. But so I got a gun coming in on Wednesday.
You got a Tokarev, right, Foos?
I do, but it's a 9mm.
Does it have the dingus on it?
No, it has a slide mounted safety.
Yeah, I think the Yugos are the only ones that have the dingus. The rest they put the safety
Scott
The
earlier.
one I have is a 9mm.
Well, yeah, the Yugos do it with their 9mm ones too. Classic has them right now in 9mm the Yugo ones, and they have the dingus on them.
So I picked up. This is going to be hitting my house on Wednesday. Tokarev, it's 32 auto. But yeah, so here's all. You go M70. These guys. There's 2 of them. There's 2 styles. There's one style back here, which is the better one, and the other one there's a style up where
right there by the trigger.
Yeah, I would rather have the rear one if I would have one. But the one I have, it's 9mm and it's sitting up here. It's just a firing pin. I mean, it's just a hammer.
I don't like slide. I'm not a fan of slide mounted controls to begin with.
No, I grab my pistols way too high, and they rip the living crap out of my hands. So I don't like
Yeah.
shooting them. Like my
Yeah,
Makarov, I
that
like
one
it,
there,
but I don't like
the
shooting.
one you were just showing isn't two backs. It's kind of 1911-ish.
Mhm.
I mean, it even got the cutout where the safety would go up there and prevent the slide from being able to be wrecked.
Yep.
That one's not too bad. The ones where you get the safety like right by the trigger and the magazine release and everything, those are stupid.
Right here.
Yeah,
I mean,
stupid place to put a safety on a handgun.
which side moves? I don't know.
I think it's the front.
The front moves down.
Yeah, if I remember right.
That's not much of a throw.
Yeah.
Nope, the back.
Look back. Okay.
Wow.
It looks like it should be the front. It looks like the front should like swivel down. Yeah. I haven't had a Toka rib, so.
God, yeah, that goes all the way through. Ugh.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, that picture, it looks like it should be the front, but then that one you can clearly see like how the safety's actually tight,
Mm-hmm.
where it goes over the grip. The other picture doesn't. You can't really tell that detail.
Which I think 7.62x25 is an interesting round, but I don't want to get into that caliber. So I have one just like this, except it's a 9mm. Too bad the magazines are unobtainable. So I have one mag for it.
And Mekar doesn't make mags for him either.
Oh.
And Mekar makes mags for everything else.
Let's see. I can't remember where I got the other one from. I think I got it from here.
Yeah, we were looking at stuff on Classic earlier. They had some interesting stuff. Like they got a SIG 229 for under $400. One of the 40 law enforcement trade-ins.
Oh, really?
Oh no, no, it wasn't 40. It was 357 SIG. It was one of the ones with the double action only with the bobbed hammer.
Trying to remember
The night sights and
my
everything on it.
account. Yeah, so I got the gun with 2 mags, and I bought an extra mag shipped for like $250-ish.
It's not too bad. But yeah, here's that SIG. You got the law enforcement's got the bobbed hammer, double action only, most likely.
Ugh. Ugh.
You know, for under 400, you can always buy a hammer with a spur on it. Put it on there.
Your cookies are in the jar. Regular peanut butter and peanut butter.
Excuse my wife, folks. Yeah, it's double action only, so but you can convert them, and it's not hard. You're gonna be hard pressed to find a SIG 229 for under $400. If anybody wants a Glock 21, they got them too. Same price. Law enforcement trade-in. And the Glock 22. The Glock 22 is under 300. The trade-in.
So let's see if this comes up.
Yeah, so this one's got the slide mounted safety on it. The Yugo 9mm Tokara. They did have them. They did have them with the Dingus too. I don't know if they still do or not.
So this is. Let's see. Sure, this is. This is the one I got. Tokarev with. Thing is, like this one actually, I think came like it was actually made with that.
Yeah, the ones with the slide mounted it looks more like it's actually manufactured that way, not just a thrown in afterthought. You know.
Yeah, I think it was.
Look at the way the way the serrations are, the way that dot is on there. That looks manufactured intentionally.
Yeah. But these magazines are unobtainable because it's a Tokarev magazine, but it's a 9mm magazine. Oh.
Yeah, somebody forgot the Z. It said Astava, not Zastava.
8-round mag. Ooh. I don't want to pay $40 for a mag. Wait, that's not even a.
Hey, now you're paying CZ mag prices.
That's no CZ mags are cheaper than that.
Yeah. Okay, Sig mag prices.
Okay.
HK mag prices.
I mean, M70.
Yeah,
70A. That looks like it. Yeah, that's it. But I'm not going to pay $50 for it. Oh, wow. It sticks out there quite a bit.
Sticking out or just not put in all the way?
That's what she said. I had to.
Yeah.
No, there were 10 rounds. That's why it sticks out.
Yeah.
It's a high capacity mag.
Yeah, that's sticking out. See, there's when it's actually.
Even the 8-round mag is sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just unobtainium. But I have one. That's not it. Oh, well.
Classics reduced the price on their Star BMs too. They're down to 175.
Yeah, I have 2 of them. My last one I picked up at 179, I think. Yeah. That's a 24-hour sale, though.
Yeah, if you got the money, it's not a bad price.
No, they have. Oh, I'm still presenting. Okay, they have 48-hour flash sale. The M70, Star BM, Yugo,
Yeah.
M57, Tokarev. So I'll go through all these.
The M88A is on there too. They got that down to 195.
So yeah, this one is the one I picked up. M70A. And then Star Mile BM, we all know what those look like. Baby 1911. Tokarev. Well. And I've never had any issues with Classics guns. I know some people are like, oh, horrible, and you know,
That's where I got my Leopard 12 from. Is from Classic.
I've never. Well, I mean, it's a lot of times on their surplus stuff. Like, oh, this is all rust and everything. I've never had any issues with them.
Well, when you're getting into surplus, I mean, they're not going to be brand new guns, you know.
Right, but when they say it's very good to good or something like that, you're like, and it comes full rust. See, I either have the M70, I mean the CZ70 or the CZ50. I can't remember which one I have.
Yeah, they don't have too much in stock right now on surplus handguns.
No, they don't. The thing is you only get so much. You sell it out. They sell it out. They're not going to get any more.
Yeah, they're not making any more of them. That's a.
So that's the thing is, if you like little pistols or you like it, get the scratch for it. So. Yeah, because what do they have CNR eligible?
I think the only one that's on this list, or the thing here from Classic that's still being made with, I don't know how these cars got on here as being military surplus. I'm not even counting them.
The which ones?
The cars. There's 3 different cars on their list.
Car?
Yeah,
Like
car
KAR?
armed. Yeah, KAHR. There's 3 of them.
For CNR eligible?
They're not CNR eligible, but they're on the mil surplus list.
From where?
That's what I want to know.
On Classic?
Yeah, on Classic.
I don't see a Milcert.
Yeah, they're on click on handguns, and then click Milsurp on the left, and they're down towards the bottom of the list on the first page. There's 3 of them. The PM45, the PM, and 2 different PM40s. I don't know what police department or military issues car arms firearms.
Deep undercover?
Oh, that would be the P229 that was on there.
That is weird.
But yeah, they have 3 of them on the Milsurp list. It's like, what?
So now I'm going to have 3 32 auto guns, and I was like, I don't have that much ammo for it, so I ordered 500 rounds. So I'm going to have. I got 3 of them now.
Somehow Classic managed to get both CZ83s and CZ82s in stock.
I have 82. I like my 82. I don't know if I would go to 80. I don't know, the 83s, that's a commercial one. That doesn't tickle my fancy. But these are for $299. That's a hell of a gun. Because if you know anything about the CZ75s, the grip, the trigger pull's not bad. It's not awesome, but it's not bad. The single action is actually pretty crisp. But it's all the controls are just like a 75, and it's just a straight blowback. I like it, and they're snappy too because they are just that there's no locking.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get one of the CZ82s, but whenever anybody has them in stock, I don't have the money.
So I have a container that whenever I let's say I grab $20 to go do something, and let's say it cost me $15, I'll take and I'll put the rest of the $5 in there, and then once that, that's my I gotta have it now money. Let's say all suddenly I see one of these, I'll put it on a credit card, then I'll take out of that and put it onto my into my bank to cover the cost.
Yeah, the problem is every time I have the money, I end up buying something else.
Well, that's why it always goes there, and it's there for a rainy day fund. But I mean, $379 for the 83. I would do $299. Save the $50, ammo it, and just buy the steel case stuff. That's. I would rather have one of these at 82 over an 83.
The last time I had the money to buy something, I kind of went and bought a different CZ.
Well, my honey pot over here is almost enough to pick up another Shadow 2. So I say another one. It'll be a third Shadow 2, I should say.
Yeah, when I had the money to buy something the last time, they had just gotten those back in stock, but I had bought this instead.
Oh, and I'm not.
So
Oh,
that's what I got.
is that the 7 or the? Oh, that's the P. That's the
P10C.
P10C.
Yeah, the suppressor ready one in urban gray.
Okay.
That's what I got instead.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
I shot one of those a little bit, and I don't like how. I don't like how wide the beaver tail is. I got really. I guess I got really really spoiled with the thinner beaver tail.
That doesn't bother me that much. So I don't know. This one seems like it's contoured more than what the standard C10C is. It's more rounded in the back, so it like fits the webbing between my thumb and my index finger pretty well.
Because whenever I go, it catches my knuckle, and it's just I don't like it.
So this one fits pretty well in the webbing there.
Well, no, it's on the other. See,
Yeah.
On your thumb, how it hits your knuckle right there.
Well, it really doesn't. If you look.
Well, geometry of, or maybe how I hold it. Maybe I rotate my hand more to the outside, but it just starts digging into that first knuckle whenever I shoot it.
The way I'm holding it, the way I hold it, it doesn't hit my knuckle.
Okay.
It's just fitting right there right there, just in the webbing.
Okay. And of course, all this is personal preference and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty comfortable for me. My son likes it too. Last time we went to the range, he put 100 rounds through it before. First time he fired it, he just had a smile on his face the whole time. The best part is if you try doing like a limp wrist drill with it, you could probably bump fire it if you just kept doing that. Because I mean, when we were doing the limp wrist drills, the trigger is so light on this that it'll hit your finger when you come back down from the recoil impulse and instantly fire double tap. So you don't got a proper grip on this, it's real easy to double tap it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I've only fired one once, and it was only a few rounds, and I just didn't. I didn't like it.
All right, good or bad, 7's back. We had a little more difficult time than usual. Kitty wasn't cooperative. We were at the end of the bag of fluids. Things went a little rough. But anyway, here I am. Did I miss anything in the last 10 minutes?
We're talking about surplus pistols on Classic and CZ 82, 83.
Do any of you guys have, I don't know, any regret for buying a CZ when you consider that small slide? I mean, my hands aren't tiny, and I don't know. The one time I tried a CZ slide, I felt like, man, this thing's hard to grab.
No, not at all. Well, it just took a little used to it because I went from a Smith & Wesson M&P to that, and it took maybe about a month before I really get used to it. Now I don't even notice
Yeah,
Just
I tend to grip the slide high anyway when I'm racking it. I don't have a CZ75, but if I did, I doubt it would be an issue. So like I
Well-
said, I'll grab it high anyway.
for me, you know, a lot of people take and grab the sides of it. I've noticed that whenever I do it, I push on the top instead of really grabbing the sides of the slide. I just push down on the top and let the friction grab the slide.
You're kind of using a 3-sided approach in essence.
No, I don't. I really don't touch the sides. I just put
Really?
it top pressure,
Okay, I see
and
what
go
you're
that
saying.
way.
Yeah, see, I'll grab like up
Top
here.
and slide off.
Anyway. See what I'm saying?
Interesting.
See where my fingertips are? I usually grab there and pull back like that anyway. The little slides that would be on the CZ75 wouldn't bother me anyhow.
Let's see if I could plug
Yeah,
my
see, I
camera in.
can't do what Bruce says he does because my hands get sweaty and then my hand just slides across the top.
Let's see. Let me grab one of my shadows right here. God. I actually need to. Holy crap! I need to get rid of one of my. Actually, probably two of my CZs. Is anybody dizzy yet? Oh, okay. So let's use this. So what I do is, you know, most people take and grab here, which of course you're grabbing the slide. I just take right here. That, or I'll just pinch it up here and do it.
Ah, all right. That makes sense. I guess, you know, you get used to it.
Yeah, I guess I thought I just did this and racked it, but I guess, you know, now as I'm doing it, I guess I just grab it up there.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're kind of doing a little triangle grab there, more or less.
I'm
That's
shooting
cool.
myself in the face.
If you get your fingers, if you get
That's
your
what the
fingers
obnoxious
in
one
those,
was doing.
if you get your fingers in those rear serrations on that 75, they ain't going nowhere. You can rack it just fine.
Yeah, I put mine on the front more, but of course mine's competition stuff, so it's different.
Yeah, you get a hold of the serrations on this CZ. You got a hold of the serrations. I mean, they're generally good serrations on them.
Yeah, they're pretty big. I just swapped out recoil springs because I was shooting competition yesterday. I was like, man, this ammo feels like it's hitting hard. I came home, pulled out the recoil spring, and it was over a ½ inch shorter than a stock one, or not a stock one, but a new one. So I'm like, yeah, about that time.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but I'm not cheap like some folks, but I'm frugal. Can you just stretch the spring back out and make it work for a while?
I wouldn't. It's a $7 part.
No,
Oh,
you can't.
never
And
mind.
the answer to that is no, you can't.
Okay.
I mean, technically you can to get it to work, but
It's
gonna
not
work
going to
long.
function properly.
Just buy a new one.
When a spring comes out of a factory, it's the way it's supposed to be. When you start modifying it, it's no longer the way it's supposed to be. And if you're stretching it, you're definitely not getting the factory recommended value from your thing.
I got you. I mean, I guess it would make sense in a life or death situation if you know ahead of time. You know what I mean? You don't have an extra spring. I see what you're saying though, because if it compacted that much, it's going to do it again.
Yeah, just
really quick. Yeah.
Just eat the price and buy a new spring. It's not that
Right.
expensive.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not that frugal.
Yeah, I went and I had 3 of them, and I have 2 shadows, so I went and I swapped them in both, and then I was like, I only have 1 left, so I ordered 5 more.
There you go.
So. I wonder if that'll fit on my compact. I'm gonna have to check that one out. This is one of my Shadow 2s.
I have yet to get a CZ, but they're on my list.
I have 1, 2. I see 3 right here.
Cool.
I have the one CZ. That's all I have.
How many rounds have you got through that one right there, Foos?
This one?
Yeah.
I bought this one about a year ago. I'd say 30 to 35,000.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah.
So you still think
sorry.
the Glock is better than the CZ?
What?
No,
Who's that question to?
For you.
to you.
No. I never thought the Glock was better than the CZ.
I don't even own a Glock, so
I bought my first Glock not too long ago, and that is going to be for sale. A friend of mine's thinking about buying it. I've owned it for
That's why I was so shocked
about a
when you were
month.
when you were talking about you were gonna replace your shadows with a Glock. I was like, what's going on?
No. It was just to test out Carry Optics, see if I like it, and I like it, but I would rather get a slide milled for it and get it properly done than go with the Glock. But
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But that'll be sitting there. Let's say I buy a third Shadow 2, get the trigger and everything set up the way. I'll have 1,200 into it, and then get the slide mill. That's another 500, and then an optic that could be. So I could have 1,800 into a single gun. I don't want to go. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I guess you have to really love that gun to put that much money. I mean, I'm not one of those, dare I say, Yankee Marshall guys who can spend $2 or $3 grand on a gun. My most expensive gun was my Sig Legion SAO, and I'm other than a threaded barrel, I don't think I'm going to spend any more money on that gun.
So I bought this one and my other Shadow 2 at the exact same time. I just ordered 2 of them. And
Cool.
So that was 2,400, I think.
Yeah. No,
So-
that makes sense. That's my my Legion SEO was a little south of 12.
Yeah.
I think 1149 maybe.
They are they're better than the original Shadows in almost every way.
Foos, tell me again, what exactly are you holding? It's a CZ
This is a CZ Shadow 2.
Shadow 2.
Yep.
Are there more numbers or letters or?
CZ75 Shadow 2.
It's not a CZ75. It's just a Shadow 2.
No,
There's
they
no
don't- They
75.
took off the 75. They took off the 75 designation on them.
Nope, there's no 75. It's just CZ Shadow 2. And the original Shadows don't have a CZ75 on it either. It's just a
That's the
Shadow.
original. Didn't the original? I thought the original did when they first came out.
Let's
with
see.
it.
I've definitely heard people people say that CZ75.
Oh,
Shadow 2
yep.
thing.
Yeah,
So
they-
it says CZ75 SPL1 Shadow.
Yeah, that's the original model.
This is
The
the
Shadow 1, if you want to call it that.
This trigger destroys this trigger. But this one's been worked over by the
Wow, that slide
custom
looks
shop.
smooth.
Oh, that? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good lord.
This has a 13-pound recoil spring, and if I want to, I could run and chamber around just by running.
The
Wow.
slides are so light because they're so small. Like
That makes sense.
if you can see the slide is inside the frame
Right,
instead
right.
of outside the frame. So that
Yeah,
makes
that
you
was
can
my-
make it even smaller.
That was my worry about gripping it, But
You
So-
get a hold of that serration, man, you got a grip on it.
The
I see where it
the,
makes sense.
the original 75s. This is the original 75 profile. There's the I just grabbed it up here, which my fingers are actually in front of. Couldn't see it, but in front of the side slide serrations. My fingers were up here. Whereas in the Shadow 2, slide serrations are way up further up front and a lot beefier.
So if you were going to buy just one, which one would you get?
2.
Okay.
The frame is ever so slightly wider. Not much. I mean, like less than a millimeter wider. It's a little bit thicker forward to back, better serrations, a little bit better undercut.
I see. Yeah.
Beaver tail is more pronounced.
Right. Better angle too, in my opinion. But
They use the exact same mags, same angle. It's the triggers. You can do the same thing to them. The slide on the Shadow 2 is lighter than the slide on the Shadow 1, and the frame is heavier on the 2 than on the 1.
oh yeah. Well,
By
yeah.
quite a bit.
I'm sold. Definitely.
They're both metal
It's gonna be
frames too,
Shadow
right?
too.
Yep, they're both they're cast frames. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
I like all metal guns. You already know that.
So they're identical. I mean, if I want to, I could take the trigger out of this one and put it in this one.
Hmm.
I don't. Oh, and
Those are DASA, right?
yeah, of course the push button for the magazine release is better on the 2, bigger on the 2.
And I'll tell you right there is the only thing that I can complain about my CZ is the mag release is so sensitive that if you're not really dedicated on your grip, like you know how a lot of people will take a shot and then kind of like re-grip the gun, take a shot and then kind of re-grip the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try
If you
not to do that, but I know what you mean.
if you're doing that and you get sloppy and you put any pressure on that mag release when you pull the trigger the next time, the mag will drop out.
I've never had that happen.
Oh, like I said, it's just because of poor placement of your hand. Like if you keep
okay.
off of it, you're good. But when you're being sloppy and just plinking at the range, if you're not paying attention, it's easy to push on that mag release. But other than that, I waited a long time and I searched around a lot of different CZs to get the one that I got, and it was well worth the wait and well worth the money.
You know what? I think it's
That's
been
cool.
about a year since I fired this gun. Other people
Wow.
have shot with this. So whenever I go to competitions, like if a buddy of mine goes, I know he only has one Shadow, and his has gone down several times because spring breaks or he's had issues with his rear sight moving because he's pulled it on and off so many times. Whenever I know he's going to go, I take this, and he's competed with this many times because of his rear sight issues. But I may have a buyer for this in a month or 2.
Man.
But yeah, this is a great gun. As you like, here's a checkering. It's smooth and that's inletted versus Shadow 2 where it's smooth and then it comes out.
Right.
The checkering on this front and back is so much better than the 2. Then the grips I have, these are thin lock grips, and I have the palm swells on the Shadow 2s to make it even thicker. So, yeah, I haven't fired this one in a while. Yeah, oh yeah, and the double action on this is about 6 pounds, 5.5, 6 pounds. The single is maybe about 2, and really crisp. As you can see,
I've got the Omega trigger system.
So that go ahead.
The double action's a little bit heavy to pull, but it's real clean all the way through. There's no choppiness in it, and there's no travel in the trigger. And then the reset is short and really, really crisp.
So this is the take up on the single action right here, and then right here it breaks. And of course, that's all the way pinned back. And there is the reset. So this gun is actually very easy to double. Whereas in the Shadow 2, it's actually this trigger is actually quite a bit heavier than that one. So it has less take up, but it's not as crisp in the back. And the reset is quite a bit further out.
Good.
But this
Oh, you
gun,
bastards.
and my other Shadow 2 are identical triggers. Like the reason I have orange grips on this one and I have OD grips on the other one, and that's the only difference. Like if I grab one, shoot them side by side, I cannot tell the difference which one I have.
You might not want to talk about this, and I totally understand. But you said you're selling the Shadow 1.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of price range are you going to get with that many miles on it?
So this one has probably 50,000 rounds. A buddy of mine is wanting to buy this, so I think I said 800. What?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I said about 800.
Yeah,
But-
so, I mean, that's pretty good because if there's not really anything else except a gun that you're going to be able to get that resale value for.
No, so this one is a CZC, came out of CZC shop. You could still buy this brand new, and you're looking at about probably about a $1,500 gun.
Yikes.
So the guy is getting a hell of a good deal, and this one's been cut for an LPA rear sight. So that was another couple $100. So he's getting a good deal. My other, this is a SPO1 Shadow. I have an SPO1, which the only difference is, as you see, there's no slide. There's no cutout here for a firing pin block. That's the only difference between this gun and the other gun that I have for this. Well, that looks just like this. And that gun has over 100,000 rounds.
That should do it.
Yeah. And I need to get rid of that one. Wait, is this the clean one or not? I can't remember. I cleaned one of them. Man. I'm getting weak.
Hey, Gary,
Oh yeah, Foose, you're wasting away, man.
Yeah,
did you see Budget put out a video about the TX22?
I did. And then I got a call from Sandhills, and he bought one today. So, hey, it's
Oh,
spreading.
you did?
There you go, man.
Wow.
How dirty
I'm
that
sorry,
is.
guys. No offense, but I've only bought, well, I inherited a Taurus revolver from 40, 50 years ago. It's great, but the only Taurus I bought is the PT22, and I think you already all know that story. I can't get through a single mag without their fire, so.
Well, comparing the rest of Taurus's guns with that tip-up barrel PT22 is like, probably comparing a top-of-the-line Dodge to a Dodge Dart from 1979 or something like that. It's
Man,
just not a fair comparison.
I had a 72 Dodge Dart Sport rear-wheel drive with a 318, man. That thing would smoke the tires as long as you wanted it to.
If you get it to start, yeah.
That's kind of dirty there, guys.
A little bit.
God, I love these guns.
All right, here's a stupid question. What's the difference between top chat and live chat? I know top chat. No, I don't know. Live chat shows everything. What's the difference between that and top chat?
Top Jet doesn't show everything.
What do you
But,
mean?
what's
PG
the
versus
point of it, though?
PG-13.
Okay.
That's basically the difference. Not that it's just
okay.
Top Chat filters out more stuff
So
than Live Chat does.
Okay. Well, thank you, David. I had no clue. I was like, because I've tried it several times and I don't see a whole lot of difference usually.
And most of the people that in these type of chats and stuff like that, you won't see a whole lot of difference. It's because they're
Right.
usually pretty tame. But if you
Right.
get into a chat where there's a little bit more raucous stuff
Yeah.
going on, there's some people that you won't see in Top Chat that you will in Live Chat.
Are you talking about on Google or
On
on
YouTube.
YouTube? Or, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube chats. Yeah, I can see that. I can see Kinky not making some of those.
and mostly filters out like emojis and stuff like that as opposed to text.
Okay. Well, I'm just as guilty then. I'm an emoji kind of guy. But I not like the ones who put like 20 or 30 or 40. I don't do that. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 occasionally, but here it is. I hear sound. I didn't kill the chat after all.
No, you didn't kill the chat.
But yeah, Gary, I understand your point. Comparing the PT-22 to other Taurus, yeah, it's not fair. I didn't mean to sound like it was.
No, the PT-22. I own one. I know exactly what you mean. They're paying the butt, but that's hardly representative of the rest of their lineup.
Right. Well, I bought that thing out of frustration, man. Some of you guys already know this story. I asked my favorite local gun dealer to find me Bobcat in 22 and 25. 2 different guns, obviously. And I kept going in, and finally they're like, "No, we don't have this, but we have this. What do you think about that?" I'm like, but it was so cheap. I mean, it was sub $200. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
The orange man.
Or so I thought. But yeah, I took all the spent rounds, put them in my Mark IV Ruger, and everything fired. So it's like obviously got a firing pin issue.
On what gun?
Orange man.
A Taurus PT-22.
Yeah, orange man just snuck in.
No.
Shoot.
How are you, orange man?
You're being shadow banned hard, brother.
Who is?
Rich. It doesn't show up under my subscriptions.
Yeah, I've been getting that with you too. I mean, you haven't shown up. So Snob hasn't been showing up.
That actually is true. When I open up my chat phone, as I call it, it's my old phone that doesn't have service anymore, but I hook it to my Wi-Fi. I couldn't find it until I hit I hit subscriptions, and it did not show up.
No,
so I went to notifications, and then I finally found it in notifications.
Yeah, I'm wondering if our Islam chat from a couple weeks ago has something to do with that.
Rich, I just got an invite over to the closer, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in.
And they finally sent his link out.
Yeah, he just did.
Yeah, he wasn't sure
all about that.
He was having computer issues.
So thanks for the invite, sir.
Yep.
Mr. Going to bed early.
Yeah, Obnoxious showed up just in time for the closer of this show.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. That's what I like to do. Check out my channel, Obnoxious One.
Yeah, and yet he got mad at me yesterday because I showed up, into his like an hour after it started.
Hashtag Porky Piggin.
Here he shows up at the end of mine after 2 hours, and
yeah, that's a good point, Obnoxious. When you and I talked on, what was it, Thursday? I don't even know what day this is. Sunday, Friday, maybe Friday. No, that's what it was. That's for Foul Territory. We talked for like 2 hours. I didn't get an invite yesterday, man. I'm kind of hurt.
I don't even know if I got your email.
That could be the problem.
I found out
Shooting left to center at gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
I found out today that I had Stacy's email. I didn't even know I had it. I don't know if I sent her a link, but apparently, Gun Gals is more important. So.
No, I thought I'd just come in and get my clothes and plugs and let you know that you were shadow banned, and then I'll go hop over in midnights and give him grief.
Oh boy.
So, yeah,
What would a
I don't.
chat be if an officer someone didn't show up?
Yeah, he's more worried about me being shadow banned than getting the link like 2.5, 3 hours, 3.5 hours ago, something like that.
Oh boy. Well, Rich, I appreciate your sincere invite. Again, that's true. I mean, he invited me more than once. That's saying something. He already knows what I'm like to talk to.
I have
So
Bruce's
he
email.
invited me.
I sent him a link earlier. I always forget somebody. It never fails. Somebody's always getting forgotten. Hey, can you send me a link? I'm looking on gun channels. Or, hey, can you send me a link? You forgot to send me one. And then when I do send people links who complained the week before that they didn't get a link, they don't show up until the end of the show anyway.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hop over to Midnight because I can't give him crap if I'm not there. So
yeah, I'm getting ready to shut this down anyway. So,
See you, obnoxious.
See you guys
Hey,
over
wait a
there.
minute.
Probably.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
Bruce, you got anything you want to plug real quick before we get out of here?
Yo, mama.
Oh, jeez.
Mom, he would probably be way too receptive.
Root man.
There's another one showing up at the end. Just trying to
Talking
get it
about
plugged in.
showing up late. We're doing closing plugs, bro. Where you been?
I've been playing a video game with my brother.
All right.
I've been listening most of the time.
Yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, Kingpin. Any plugs?
Check out Dead Horse and Tony on the early watch tomorrow.
Well, Jared, since you just came in here, you want to get in a greeting and then a plug?
Hey, this is Rupan RX. I should be doing some more videos coming here soon. I've got a bunch of footage to edit, but I've been lazy. So thanks for having me, Rich. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Evan, anything you want to plug?
Yikes. Not on a PG channel.
Hey, come on now. She's not even here. It's not going. No, we're not going there.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, Snob's wife does have a link. She could have came in here and bitch slapped you for that one, but
Oh no, never mind. You already know. I'm not into little girls. It's just it's just the way it went. But anyway, yeah, no, I got nothing. I have a 247 subscriber giveaway, about 150 subs short. I mean late. But yeah, other than that, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed talking with you guys, and hopefully I was a positive contributor. And that's about it.
all right. So we will call this a night for this show anyway, and invite you all over to Midnight Range's channel to watch the closer.
Whoosh. Oh, sorry, David.
Yeah, well, he missed his cue, so the stand-in had to take his place. So, yeah, y'all have a good night, and we will catch y'all later.
Thanks, Rich. Have a good night, bro.
Deuces, Bigelow.
Give him the bird.
No pee-pee in cold box. Remember, no pee-peeing in the cold box. Not good.
No. Even Night Strike won't permit that.